Self-awareness is a powerful tool, but it's often clouded by the illusion of the me. This illusion creates a false sense of identity that we cling to, thinking it defines us. Carl Jung referred to this as the ego, a mental construct that shapes our perception of the world and our place within it. But what if this perception is just an illusion? What if the true self lies beyond this limited self-image, hidden beneath layers of mental chatter and unconscious programming? The awareness of this illusion allows us to begin the journey of self-discovery, where we can confront these false identities and uncover the deeper, more authentic self that exists beyond them. When we observe our thoughts, emotions, and mental patterns, we begin to notice that these are just transient experiences. Jung's insight into the unconscious mind tells us that these mental activities, whether positive or negative, are not who we truly are. They're just fleeting moments that can distract us from our true nature. This realization is a crucial first step toward liberation, as it allows us to witness ourselves without getting lost in the illusion of who we think we are. The self-awareness gained through this process is transformative, allowing us to access a more grounded presence, one that is not at the mercy of our ever-changing thoughts or external circumstances. Understanding the illusion of the me helps us to create a more spacious consciousness, one where we can rest in our true essence. When we stop identifying with the ego, we open up the possibility for transformation and peace. Instead of living in reaction to our thoughts or emotional patterns, we begin to live from a place of clarity and equanimity. This space allows for more meaningful relationships, as we are no longer driven by self-involvement or the need to validate our sense of self. True connection is born from the realization that we are not our thoughts, our ego, or our fleeting emotions, but something much deeper, something that is always present and always free. The mind's role in creating identity and illusion. The mind plays a significant role in the creation of identity, often presenting us with an illusion of who we think we are. According to Carl Jung, the mind is not just a passive recorder of experiences, but an active participant in shaping our self-concept. This is where the ego comes into play. It forms an identity based on past experiences, beliefs, and unconscious influences. However, this identity is built on a series of mental constructs, not on the true self. The illusion of the me is a mask we wear, crafted by the mind to help us make sense of the world, but it doesn't reflect our authentic self. When we begin to delve deeper into self-awareness, we realize that much of what we consider our identity is simply a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. These are not permanent aspects of our being. Rather, they are reflections of the mind's activity. Much like how we have learned to identify ourselves with our thoughts, emotions, or past experiences, we are conditioned to believe that this identity is who we truly are. However, this perception often leads to alienation and disconnection, as it distorts our sense of self. The more we identify with these mental layers, the further we move away from our true self, which resides in a deeper, more authentic awareness. The practice of witnessing and mindfulness helps us break free from this cycle. As we observe our thoughts without judgment, we begin to recognize the illusion of self that the mind has created. This process can lead to profound personal growth, as we step out of the ego's grip and discover the spaciousness of our true consciousness. Self-reflection and self-inquiry allow us to peel back the layers of the mind and see that our identity is not fixed. It's fluid, evolving, and influenced by the unconscious. The more we practice this awareness, the closer we get to living an authentic life, free from the mental constructs that have limited us. The practice of inquiry and witnessing. In the journey of self-discovery, the practice of inquiry and witnessing is crucial for uncovering the layers of the mind. This process allows us to step back from the automatic reactions of the ego and observe our thoughts, emotions, and mental patterns without becoming entangled in them. By simply witnessing, we create a space between ourselves and the thoughts we identify with. Carl Jung emphasized that this self-awareness is not about intellectual understanding, but about experiential knowing, a direct, non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. Through this practice, we can begin to see beyond the illusion of self that the mind has created. Witnessing helps us recognize that thoughts and emotions are not permanent aspects of our identity. Rather, they are temporary mental activity, arising and passing away like clouds in the sky. By watching them come and go without attachment, we gain a deeper understanding of the unconscious mind and its influence on our daily lives. This process of self-inquiry is like a mirror reflecting the true self beneath the surface layers of the mind. It allows us to witness the mental chatter and recognize how much of it is rooted in past experiences, fears, and conditioning, not in who we truly are. As we practice witnessing, we begin to see the patterns in our thoughts and reactions. This awareness is the first step toward breaking free from self-involvement and the automatic responses that keep us trapped in the illusion of identity. By integrating this awareness, we create the possibility for profound personal transformation. Witnessing and inquiry provide the tools for psychological healing, as they help us face the shadow, those parts of ourselves that we've repressed or ignored. Through this process, we move closer to a state of balance and inner peace, no longer at the mercy of the mind's fluctuations, but grounded in the clarity of true self-awareness. The dissolution of the ego and the realization of true self. The dissolution of the ego is one of the most profound experiences in the journey of self-realization. According to Carl Jung, the ego is the part of our psyche that forms our identity, our thoughts, beliefs, and sense of me. However, this is not the true self, but rather a limited construct that creates the illusion of separation from the greater whole of our being. The ego thrives on mental activity and identity. It defines who we are based on past experiences, social roles, and external validation. But as we move towards self-awareness, we begin to see that the ego is a mask, and true self lies beyond it, in the depths of consciousness. The practice of witnessing and shadow work is essential for dissolving the ego. When we observe our thoughts, emotions, and internal dialogue, we begin to see how much of it is driven by the unconscious mind, the part of us that operates outside of conscious awareness. By becoming aware of the mental chatter, we can start to integrate the shadow, or the hidden aspects of our psyche, that the ego has kept repressed. This process is not about eliminating the ego, but about integrating it into a greater sense of wholeness. As we do this, we transcend the limitations of the ego and experience a deeper connection to the self. Realizing the true self requires courage and willingness to embrace vulnerability. When the ego dissolves, we stop identifying with the external world and begin to experience life from a place of inner knowing and authenticity. This process leads to a profound inner peace, where we no longer feel the need to prove our worth or hold on to false identities. The realization of the true self is not an endpoint, but an ongoing journey of personal transformation. It's about embracing the paradox of human existence, where we are both individual and part of a greater whole. Through self-inquiry and meditation, we learn to experience life as it truly is, without the distortions of the ego, and in alignment with our authentic nature. Integration of awareness into daily life. Integrating awareness into our daily lives is the culmination of the inner work that Carl Jung emphasized. It's not enough to have moments of self-awareness during meditation or quiet reflection. The challenge lies in carrying that awareness into the everyday activities and relationships that make up our lives. By becoming more mindful of our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we create a living practice of consciousness. This means acknowledging the unconscious influences that shape our perceptions and responses and actively choosing to align with our true self rather than the conditioned, ego-driven responses that often take over. The integration of awareness requires continuous self-reflection and a commitment to personal growth. It involves seeing the shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves that we tend to avoid, and consciously choosing to bring them into the light of our awareness. Jung's idea of individuation points to the idea that this integration is a lifelong process, one that requires us to embrace contradictions and accept the full spectrum of our human experience. As we integrate our awareness, we develop greater emotional intelligence and deeper, authentic connections with others. Our relationships become more genuine and less based on superficial interactions or social masks. As we continue to integrate awareness into our lives, we experience a growing sense of freedom and peace. We become less reactive to the external world and more grounded in our inner truth. The process of self-transformation allows us to step into our limitless self, untethered by the constraints of past conditioning. Living with awareness means embracing life's challenges as opportunities for growth and personal development. It's about learning to dance with the duality of existence, seeing the light and the shadow, the freedom and the responsibility, and recognizing that wholeness is found in embracing it all.